I have no idea if it's gonna work or not, but I'm already at a mile left, or 0 miles. I'm not even gonna make it. All right, so there's a church behind me. Let's just hope that they have good outlets. It's 2 miles. God, I'm like out in the middle of nowhere. The bike's been on for 2 days in the cold. Let's see how the 12 volts doing. Yeah, 14 volts. Good to go. So I'm headed to a place called Twin Lakes State Park, and it's 50 something miles away. Didn't really have anything to do today, so we're going to make the most of it. Take a nice little leisurely stroll on the Del Mar. Now, I'm not from Richmond, and so I am not at all familiar with this area or the roads. And to be honest, I miss my mountains. That's essentially what it is. My mountains, they have all kinds of gravel roads and places for me to explore and have adventures. Whereas with Richmond, it's all kind of flat and maybe a little hilly, but I'm hoping today will change my perception of the area, because Jennifer and I we're moving here in about 7 or 8 years once all of our kids are old enough to be on their own. It's imperative that I figure out places to explore around here. All right, so my map is still not updated on here. So I need to close that out. So turn the bike back on. Yeah, I don't get why it's still not showing up on the bike. Don't get it. But we're just going to keep riding, see if it updates. Check out this old school car. Look at that. You know, people talk about how electric cars are super simple, like in their design and their aesthetic and stuff, but just look how simple this is. You've got your ignition, choke maybe, gear shifter. Cars were already simple before. Oh, look, it's a Ford. We just kind of complicated it along the way. 2-seater. Super cool. So this is a correctional facility. Never seen it before. Straight up looks like Shawshank Redemption. We're moving back to Richmond because that's where Jen's family's from. That's where they still live, and that's where all Jen's friends and stuff are. And I don't really have anything in Lexington keeping me there except for my kids being in school. But I guess I don't really look forward to it, because Lexington, it's such a playground for me. It's what I call an adventure-rich environment. I can ride anywhere and have just a blast, but I guess because ever since I was a kid, I wanted to live in the mountains, and now that I live in the mountains in Lexington, like, I don't want to move. But I guess I'm just hesitant to live in Richmond. What's going on? Oh, I'm filming for a YouTube channel? Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'll leave. Okay. I kind of figured that someone would say something for me filming here, but it's just a cool looking location. It's all decrepit and abandoned looking. Well, it's starting to rain anyways. So I need to find somewhere to seek shelter until it passes. Whoa. Looks like the entrance to the next Resident Evil game. Line Crest. Maidens. This looks like a fun little spot to get out of the weather. See that the flags are flapping at me, and so that's making the range go down. But hopefully whenever I come back, I'll be able to see what it's like with a tailwind. But I've been trying to figure out what is like the sweet spot with the Del Mar as far as getting that 1-to-1, like 1% to 1 mile range, and I think it's 45. But this headwind's really not making it easy for me to do that. I just can't get out of this rain. It's getting worse. I thought it was supposed to be like a light rain today. So I think the weather predictions were a little off. I found this overhang off to the side of the road, but there's only supposed to be a small like sprinkle this morning, but this wasn't there this morning. The bike only has 49%, 47%. I started off at 95% getting here, so I have to find some place to charge now. I am not equipped to ride in the rain today. Alright, so I gotta go 26 miles and I've got 35 miles of range. But I'm going with the wind, so hopefully that'll give me a little bit more extra range to get back to Jennifer's parents' house. Alright, so the bike's at 25% battery. I've got 16 miles of range. Destination is 13 miles away. And I've learned that if you don't have to push the limits, don't push the limits, because when you do that, you end up pushing the limits farther than you want to go. So I found this this church, this side of the road. Hopefully this GFI outlet won't trip. And I'll just have to figure out some way to stay out of the rain. This is the charger for the Live R1. Alright, blue light's a good sign. And it tripped it. Son of a bitch. The Live R uses an AC filter in all of their bikes, and so that's why typically you trip an ACF or a GCFI or GFI outlets because of that stupid AC filter. And the only reason why the filter is there is because of something to do with California regulations or controls or something. I don't know what it is, but I know that there's a way that you can bypass it. I just haven't taken the time to figure that out yet. So I'll just keep riding until I find a place that seems like it's suitable for charging. With the Live R1, I know its range, I know it's charging like the back of my hand, because I've got like 36,000 miles experience in riding it. But with the Del Mar, I just don't know yet. I'm only at like 700 miles or something. Another church. Typically chargers are really good for charging. Most of the time they have a really solid charging infrastructure, but this one's like a old tiny church. And it looks like they have GCFI outlets as well. So I'll have to keep going. All right, so I've got 4.7 miles left to go, 4 miles of range. Not gonna make it. So just trying to find a place that has a usable outlet. This looks questionably sketchy, but I gotta try it. Everything here is GCFI. It's gonna trip it. It's not gonna work here. I was trying my best to not stress the battery out. Obviously it's not gonna kill it this one time, but I'm just trying to be better about it now with a new bike. It's probably the one thing that I miss about my old Zero motorcycle is that thing didn't give a crap what you were plugging it into. If it was electricity, it would take it. It didn't care. Trying to coast as much as I can. So frustrating. Like plenty of outlets that I could have used that were powering up other things, but because of this stupid AC filter, all right, well, I'm almost at the church. I don't see anything. Try it out, see if it works. It's got power, it's a good sign. Whew. Jeez. All right, so I'll stay here for about an hour. Jeez. I guess just to finish my thoughts from earlier, I guess I'm just worried that I'm gonna get bored riding here in Richmond just because the terrain is kind of reminds me back of, not entirely of Louisiana, but I hated living in Louisiana because everything was just completely flat. There's really nothing to look at except pine trees. I mean, they had other trees too, but you know, Richmond is a very historical area. There's a lot of things here that I know that I just haven't really discovered yet, and I haven't really spent a lot of time trying to discover those things. And so, I mean, we're still 7-8 years away from moving back here, so I still have time to enjoy my mountains, and I guess that just means that I'll just have to enjoy them all the more because I know that eventually they'll go away. So the bike's at 4%. I'm gonna wait until it's at 10% to get back on the road. And look, this is the whole reason why my channel name is Adventures on Zero, because this is what I always used to do. I always used to ride my bike until I invariably hit 0% because I was always trying to push the limits of what the bikes are capable of. Channel name still checks out.